It's classic President Donald Trump style, though, Janine. It's exactly who he's been in business as a candidate, as president-elect, and now president. He's all about action and impact. I mean, Washington is just not accustomed to somebody who comes here owing them nothing and owing the American people the opportunity to make good on those promises and those plans. And he's done everything from job creation to wage boosting to protecting us from radical Islamic terrorism by putting out extreme vetting, from swearing in a couple of the cabinet secretaries. Let's just throw in a visit from the UK's Prime Minister for good measure, calls with heads of state. It's just remarkable to watch him in action, and it really makes us all step up our game.
Do you get the sense as you watch him, and I've known him for many, many years, that there'll come a point in time when some of his staff will say, I don't know if I can keep up with this man?
Oh, sure, but too bad for us. Too bad for us. I've always thought, even when I had my own research company for 21 years, that the boss should always work the hardest. You know, your name's on the door, you're in charge, so work the hardest. But he puts that at a different echelon altogether. But you can't help but want to meet and exceed his expectations and try to at least keep pace with his thinking, with his activity. It's a joy, and the country's responding. You know, you see some of the haters out there, but no mind, because he's their president too, and he's doing things that will help them as well. What I want people to know is that for every loudmouth hater you hear, there've got to be 10 or more people now who are calling and emailing and writing and stopping and saying thank you to any of us, to him, to tell him thank you. People feel there's a new vibrancy, a new buoyancy, a new opportunity. He's not just changing the tone in Washington, he's changing the whole content.
And the whole idea of his doing what he said he would do is just kind of stunning to the American people. Well, oh my goodness, not only is he doing what he said he would do, but he's doing a lot of it in the first week.
That's right.
But let's talk about what happened with Mexico and the talk now of possibly a 20% tax on some of the goods coming from Mexico, and then, you know, critics saying, well, that, whether it's 20 or any other number, I think Sean Spicer may have suggested 20, that burden may ultimately be held by or burdened on the American people. Is he running this, like he, the president, like a business?
Sure, he can run the country like a business, but he also knows it's a country. On Mexico, what our press secretary Sean Spicer said is one of the possible options. Our chief of staff, Ryan Speebles, has said the 20% tariff is on the buffet of options. And that's the way leaders look at things. They say, what are all the possibilities here? I want to weigh the consequences, the options, the possibilities before I make a choice on behalf of the American people.
Who needs the other one more? Does the United States need Mexico, or does Mexico need the United States?
Well, if you look at the trade imbalance, $60 billion of a trade deficit each year, and you see these statistics, Janine, that the greatest source of revenue for Mexico appears to be money that Mexicans in America send back to Mexico.
Well, then let me ask you, why is it that the Mexicans seem so put off by the idea of the United States as a sovereign nation putting up a wall, the United States saying we do not want illegal immigrants here, the United States doing what it can to stop illegal drug cartels from coming into this country, and the United States from taking care of its own borders and preventing people from sending money into another country?
Well, they're just not used to it. But look, Donald Trump has said as president that he will put America first. And 65% of Americans say that they really like and agree with that as one of his plans, as one of his mottos, if you will, America first. That was in a poll this week that was released. And there's something to that. People know what that means. It means that we're a sovereign nation, and sovereign nations must have physical borders. And we as a nation, as the president said in his inaugural address, we have spent billions of dollars helping other countries protect their own borders and their own sovereignty, and we're not doing it here. It's just common sense to a lot of the American people. We want to have a good relationship with all of our neighbors, Canada, Mexico. President Trump said on Friday in his press conference with the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Theresa May, he said, we'd like to have good relationships with all countries. Probably won't happen, but we'll try. And that, of course, includes Mexico. But this is all about being fair to the American people, to the American borders, to the American worker.
Well, then why do you think that there are some mayors from the large cities, American mayors, who are like, we want to protect the illegals and we're willing to risk the loss of federal block grants, law enforcement monies? What is that about?
It seems to be a sort of misread on the public mood, first of all. are they really serious that they're going to harbor and, quote, protect illegal immigrants like the man who murdered Kate Steinle in front of her father in San Francisco almost 2 years ago? That poor woman should be a household name across this country, and we should hold her up as a symbol of everything that's wrong with sanctuary cities. And if people say, Judge Jeanine, well, that's just one example, we have many examples. At the Department of Homeland Security this past week, President Trump stood along with these angel moms, all of whom have lost their children to illegal immigrants who should not have been here. And so that is not all illegal immigrants, that is not most immigrants in this country. But these mayors saying that they're going to put the protection of illegal immigrants above the protection of their own people and their own city's resources, they're flagrantly flouting the law. Exactly. And we should think about what that means. Maybe some are making political statements, maybe some really believe that they're protecting the illegal immigrants, but those folks broke the law. You want to be in America? We've got the most generous immigration laws in the world, and we have big hearts as well. We're compassionate. Go stand in line. Go do it the way our ancestors did it, and most people's ancestors did it. You have an entryway here, but you can't break the law and then allow these liberal elites to tell everyone, Jeanine, illegal immigrants are here to do the jobs Americans just won't do. You know what many Americans have stood up and said, particularly given the Trump effect on this issue? Excuse me, I will do that job. I want to do that job to support myself and my family, but I'm not doing it for $5 an hour under the table.
And that's not all. More with Kellyanne Conway coming up. What about your kids? Are you worried about them?
I'm a mother. Of course I'm worried about them. I'm an Italian mother.
Kellyanne the mother in the public glare. Part 2 of my White House interview.